Good afternoon, or a cool, grey and cloudy day. It is Monday the 28th of August, August bank holiday. I've got a nice hot cup of tea and a box to continue unboxing. And what I'm going to pull out of here next is some releases for Over the Edge. And I've already looked at new faces, so the next one I'm going to look at is a longer supplement, which is Weather the Cuckoo Likes. Weather the Cuckoo Likes. Dada was the theory, we are the practice, the Cut-Ups motto. The Cut-Ups are an Al Amarja wing of the Chaos Boys, an international and interdimensional group devoted to thwarting the plans of control addicts everywhere. If you know Al Amarja, it's full of control addicts. The Cut-Ups don't so much attack the various conspiracies they oppose as strike out instead at the very fabric of reality on which all of their insidious plans depend. As an over-the-edge sourcebook, Weather the Cuckoo Likes will bring you along on the Cut-Ups' outrageous exploits. The sourcebook includes descriptions of individual Cut-Ups, from the Andalusia dog to noted game designer Robert Doc Cross. Photos of the Cut-Ups, including the unfathomable Cohen head, the coatless code, which guides the Chaos Boys and also fits very nicely on a placemat. Optional cut-up rules, a completely new approach to game mechanics for Over the Edge or any other game. Cut-up technology, fringe devices from the Cut-Ups machine itself to collective unconsciousness swizzle stick, plus 2 complete adventures to throw your player character straight into the zany fringes of reality that Cut-Ups call home. This is the Weather the Cuckoo Likes. Armored division submissive to vernacular. The world into a gambling birdhouse velocity. The Cut-Ups alternative menu. Now this is a source book for Over the Edge, Jonathan Tweet's seminal early proto-storytelling game set on the island of Al Amarja, little recognised by the rest of the world, but a destination for every conspiracy thriller, every conspiracy nut, every form of advanced science, alchemy, medical procedures that you can't get anywhere else, mostly because they wouldn't get a license. So, you know, almost everything in here. I open up, and strangely I've got an envelope there. But actually, the other thing to notice, I did notice this, sort of like, you know, it says, you know, descriptions of individual Cut-Ups, from the Andalusia dog to the noted game designer Robert Doc Cross, and there we have him on the front page, which is a nice tribute. I hadn't actually realised that he was in this book. So, it's done by Robin D. Laws, one of his early books. So we've got a contents page, and essentially a guide to meeting at the Cut-Ups, and this is very much done in the style of in the Over the Edge. You can tell, you know, it looks like it's done on you know, an early 90s desktop computer, which doesn't mean to say that it's a bad thing. It's just recognisable. So we have, and then we've got an introduction to them, and then descriptions of individual members of the Cut-Ups, and along with storylines and hooks. So, and it includes essentially language that they speak, traits, and so on, so that, you know, you can bring them into play mechanically, even though Over the Edge, certainly the original version, and even more so the more recent version, is incredibly light mechanically speaking. In each case, essentially, these are followed by story ideas. And here we have the full details of Doc Cross himself, along with a story idea involving him. Then we go on to the Andalusia dog. And each of these have got quick taglines. So Mercia is a surrealist sculptor. Per Blinder, master of psychic violence. Klaus Brinker, master of mundane violence. Turning the page, Mrs. Brinker, cut-up nurturer and caregiver, complete with a tray of well, cookies, I'm presuming. And then we have Robert Cross, cut-up recruiting officer. And then the Andalusia dog, cut-up cloak. And a famous movie director, the really quite angry kid. And these are almost generic, but you know, they are fully formed. We have C.A. Radford, embodiment of chaos. So on, and then you sort of like have a means of creating kind of your own. There are fringe powers there, to miscellaneous traits and so on, story ideas. Essentially, I think, you know, and they are, and that's not quite your own, but essentially I should correct, they're not your own. It's actually a means of modifying C.A. Radford, the embodiment of chaos, because he ultimately changes. So, for example, you know, appearance Iranian man, 21 years old, and so on, or Nordic woman, 31 years old, Caribbean Chinese man, 41 years old, and so on. So you've got these different NPCs. He even has different fringe powers. You know, so you basically, literally, you there with the effectively with the roll of the dice, you are doing cut-ups on him. And then we have Tiffany Trilobite, beloved children's cartoon character, and you know, Dr. Watt, you know, cut-up Oracle, sort of like the embodiment of the anti-Doctor Who sort of thing. And then we does what's next? We have foes of the cut-ups. And one of the problems is actually looking at this, as you look at it, is that's actually difficult to read because it's just a little bit too dark. If it'd been in colour, you've got a little bit more contrast. So, you know, primarily you've got the control freaks who hate them because the cut-ups are so random. And we have similar treatments of the NPCs in terms of their foes. So, you know, that includes the Cohen head, who is a renegade cut-up. So lots of different NPCs which the player characters can get involved in, run away from, agree with, and then we have let's have a look, and the nature of control addiction, you know, discussing sort of like, you know, how far they are prepared to take the control. Then next we have the Chaos Boys. So these are sort of like, you know, the further embodiment of the cut-ups, ideas and discussions of who they are and what they do, along with the code. And we've got optional cut rules, and so you can change the actual rules you're using. You can switch to those, add them in play, and so on. So, you know, covering everything from group efforts, combat, and then we have, of course, other randomness, because, you know, that's what it's all about, including cut-up technology, and of course details of the cut-up machine, although no illustration. And then Next, we have Meaning Tissues. This is the first of the two stories, adventures. So it involves Elwood Cardinal, he's the major NPC, backstory, and discussion of Cardinal's Chaos character. And, how getting in, basically how to get involved, who else gets in, so you know, other factions, who has access to Elwood, and potential treatment for Elwood. For ultimately the question of whether or not you can escape from Bienvenidos, and from Elwood, and yeah, sadly there's a nuke involved, and it will see the return of Elwood Cardinal. And you've got follow-ups for what to do next, and also intersections with other factions as well. And then we have the last chance brains. We have Assault of the Giant Brains. Essentially, the mud puddle explains about the monster under the rock. This is a shorter adventure. And again, we have the intersections between this and other factions, and the nature of the scenario and its dark secret. And there you have the puddle itself. A taste of the future, and what if the players come and go? Before ending with other encounters, and sorry. Get down to the conclusion, and I'll go back to sort of like with a long spoon the next adventure along, and a supplement of NPCs. So yeah, that's over Weather Like the Cuckoo's the Cut-Up Sourcebook for Over the Edge. Hope you've enjoyed this unboxing in the Nook. If you have, then please do click on the like button down below, and of course if you've got any comments or feedback, then I do appreciate you taking the time to post those. And lastly, if you want to be alerted to get more unboxings in the Nook, well, you'll see me out here with a box containing a book or game, which I will unbox and chat about to the best extent of my knowledge for roughly 10 minutes or so, all of course accompanied by a nice hot cup of tea. Then please do click on the subscribe button down below. Thanks again for watching. Be back again soon with another one. Bye for now.